with his wife, Lorene, his children, his close team, and in his garden, reflecting. On August 24, 2011, Steve Jobs sent a short letter to the Apple board. He wrote, "I have always said if there ever came a day when I could no longer meet my duties and expectations as Apple's CEO, I would be the first to let you know. Unfortunately, that day has come." He resigned as CEO. The board appointed Tim Cook, a quiet, disciplined operations expert who had worked by Steve's side for years. Steve became chairman of the board. But the world knew this was goodbye. On the evening of October 5, 2011, Apple released a press statement. "We are deeply saddened to announce that Steve Jobs passed away today. He was 56 years old. People cried. Customers lit candles outside Apple stores. Facebook, Twitter, and the entire internet was filled with messages." Barack Obama said, "Steve was among the greatest of American innovators. Bold enough to think differently, brave enough to believe he could change the world, and talented enough to do it," Bill Gates wrote. The world rarely sees someone who has had the profound impact Steve has had, the effects of which will be felt for many generations to come. Even rivals bowed. He didn't just leave a company, he left a blueprint for excellence. He left a culture of perfection, focus, minimalism, vision over numbers, emotion over specs. Apple wasn't just about what you buy. It became about what you believe. In one of his final speeches, Steve said, "We're here to put a dent in the universe. Otherwise, why even be here?" And he did. Part 4. Legacy Beyond Life. The man Steve trusted to carry the flame, Tim Cook, was stepping forward. Tim Cook was nothing like Steve Jobs. Where Jobs was emotional, explosive, creative, Cook was calm, reserved, strategic. People were nervous. They asked, would Tim Cook take risks? Would Apple still innovate? Would the way without its soul? But Tim had one thing: Steve's blueprint. Before his death, Steve Jobs had spent months preparing the company, a product roadmap for years ahead, a leadership structure, a culture built on simplicity, excellence, and focus. He told Tim, "Don't try to be me. Just be yourself. But do what's right for Apple." And Tim Cook did exactly that. Right after Steve's death, Apple launched iPhone 4S, already in the pipeline, iPad 3 with Retina display, iPhone 5, taller screen, Lightning connector, iOS 7, massive UI redesign, iPad mini, compact and affordable. In 2012, Apple earned $156 billion in annual revenue. Net profit, $41.7 billion. Market cap, $500 billion. Apple wasn't slowing down. But then, the big question came. What will Apple invent now? That answer came in 2014. In September 2014, Apple announced its first brand new product since Steve's death: the Apple Watch. It was more than a watch. It tracked your health. It showed messages. It played music. It had custom watch faces. It was deeply personal. The original idea had come from Steve's early vision of personal technology, but it was Tim Cook's team that brought it to life. In 2015, the Apple Watch launched. Critics were skeptical, but by 2020, it had become the #1 best-selling watch in the world, beating even Rolex and Casio. A computer company now made the world's most popular timepiece. In 2016, Apple removed the headphone jack from the iPhone 7. People were furious. Where will I plug in my headphones? This is greedy. This is arrogant. But Apple had a plan. AirPods, wireless, tiny, simple, with no buttons, just intelligent sensing and seamless connection. At first, people mocked them. You look like toothbrushes in your ears. You'll lose them. Then people tried them, and the world changed. AirPods became a cultural symbol of coolness, simplicity, and status. In 2022, Apple made over $15 billion from AirPods alone. That's more than the entire annual revenue of Spotify. Since 2006, Apple computers had used Intel processors, but Apple was tired of depending on another company. In 2020, Apple announced it would make its own chips, starting with the M1 chip. This was a huge risk. What if performance dropped? What if software broke? What if users didn't adopt? But the M1 MacBooks were a triumph. Faster than any other laptop. Longer battery life. Cooler and quieter. Seamless app performance. Critics said, "This is the biggest jump in computer performance in over a decade." Apple proved, again, that it could reinvent its own products without Steve. Let's look at the growth after Steve Jobs. Year revenue, USD. Net profit, USD. Market cap, USD. 2011, 108 billion, 25 billion, 350 billion. 2015, 233 billion, 53 billion, 700 billion. 2018, 265 billion, 59 billion, 1 trillion. 2020, 274 billion, 57 billion, 2 trillion. 2009 dollars, $99.8 billion, $2.9 trillion. 2023, $383 billion, $97 billion, over $3 trillion. In 2023, Apple became the first company in human history. Means Apple was worth more than Tesla plus Amazon plus Facebook plus Netflix plus Coca-Cola plus McDonald's plus Nike combined. And it started in a garage. Today, Apple is not just a brand. It's a global lifestyle. People wake up and check their iPhone, track their health with their Apple Watch, listen to music with their AirPods, work and create on their MacBook, watch shows on Apple TV, back up everything to iCloud. Apple is now a part of the wallet. He doesn't, but what he did was transform Apple from a product company into an empire. Under Tim Cook, Apple became more global, more inclusive, more environmentally focused, and more financially powerful than ever. He proved that discipline and vision can exist together. Even though he didn't invent the iPhone, he scaled it to reach every corner of Earth. Let's remember what makes this story the greatest of all time. Started in a garage. Almost went bankrupt. Founder was fired, made a comeback. Invented products that changed the world, lost its visionary. Still rose to become the most valuable company on Earth. No company in modern history has ever combined technology, design, emotion, branding, storytelling, simplicity, as perfectly as Apple. Steve Jobs is gone, but walk into any Apple store. Hold any iPhone. Listen to the startup chime of a MacBook, and you'll feel him. He's in the curves, the colors, the silence, the power, the simplicity. He once said, "The people who are crazy enough to think they can change the world are the ones who do." He believed it, he proved it, and he left behind a company that will inspire generations forever. This was the complete, detailed, emotional, and powerful four-part story of Apple Inc., from garage to